Hi there. How are you guys doing? Today I thought I would answer the question of how to sell or dispose of your vintage and antiques if you are not an antique dealer. I had a number of questions on this topic in the survey that I gave last month. So I want to focus on that today. And I made another cheat sheet that I will link to. I need to make a few revisions to it, and I will link to it later. What to do with your vintage and antiques if you're not an antique dealer. Why don't we jump right in, okay? Let's get started. I have 5 ways that you can take care of your vintage and antiques, okay? One is simply to keep them. You do not have to sell your vintage antiques that you've collected over the years or that you've inherited from your parents or another family member. If you love them, then you can keep them, okay? I'm giving you permission today to keep the vintage and antiques that you own, that you love. You may feel some pressure from family members, pressure from friends who are downsizing and selling to do the same thing. But again, you do not have to if you don't want to. Yes, that means that whoever inherits your estate has to make some decisions, right, about your things, but you will not be there to get involved in that decision-making process. They will make the decision, and that's okay. It's not a terrible burden to inherit an estate. There are some simple and easy ways to handle things, which we're actually going to go over right now, okay? 1 is keep them, 2 is donate them, all right? I'm going from the most painless options to the more involved, the more long-term options, okay? So the easiest is to keep them. The second is to donate them. You may have a charity that you love. Maybe it's an orphanage in Africa or a school in a third world country or the homeless. Why not make a donation of your collectibles to that organization, and you can then take a deduction, so you will be regaining some of the value, right? You will save some money on your taxes, so that's like money in your pocket, right? So you'll make some money on it, but you'll also get the pleasure of having donated those items to a worthy cause, okay? So you can keep them, you can donate them. The next option is to call a professional, okay? It's okay to admit that you don't know everything about your collectibles, you don't know everything about selling them. Call a professional. That's what they're there for. So there are 3 professionals that you can consider calling, okay? The first is an antique dealer, the second is an auctioneer, and the third is an estate sale professional, okay? Now, what I would recommend is that you get recommendations from friends and family of people who they have used themselves, people that they trust and feel good recommending, all right? You want to get the names of businesses that have a good reputation, all right? So what you're going to do, you're going to get those names, then you can go online and you can check and see if they have any reviews. They may not, all right? Most antique businesses are fairly small and they don't necessarily have online reviews, but there's no reason why you shouldn't take a minute to just check that, okay? So get the referrals from friends and family, check for any reviews online, and then call 1 or 2 or 3 or more. I recommend that you call definitely more than 1 and as many as you like, okay? So what's going to happen if you call an antique dealer? If you call an antique dealer, well, what's going to happen if you call any of them, all right? you're going to have a conversation with them and describe to them the sorts of things that you have for sale. It could be your personal collection. It could be things that you inherited. Say a parent died and you now have a huge storage facility or a barn full of their possessions. Whatever it is that you have, you're going to want to describe that to the person that you're talking with on the phone. Tell them what generally you have. And they're going to respond in one of 4 ways. They are going to tell you they're not interested, possibly, hopefully not, right? But they might tell you they're not interested. It might not be the right fit for their business, the things that you have to sell. They could ask for photos or videos of the items, right? So you could take some photos of the collection as a whole or a short video of what it is that you're hoping to sell, and then send that to them. They could ask you to bring some of the items in. So that would be if it's an antique dealer or an auctioneer that you're talking to. They might want you to bring a box full of what you think are the best items so that they can see them in person. And then the 4th response might be, and this is the best one, that they agree to come to your house to see what you have. Okay, so that's the 4 ways that they could respond to you and your phone call. All right. So after they see the items, whether it's a pictures, video, or in person, they're going to be able to evaluate what you have and whether there's a service that they could provide for you, right? So an antique dealer may want to buy some or all of the items outright, or they may be willing to take some or all of the items into their shop on consignment. Most of the time, antique dealers will charge right around 40 to 50% commission to sell your items, okay? If it's an estate sale professional, they may also be willing to buy everything outright. The second option for an estate sale professional would be to hold a living estate sale. Okay, so that's basically exactly what it says. They will come into your home and hold a sale, an estate sale, even though you're still alive. That has become very popular. All right. Estate sale professionals generally charge right around 25% of whatever amount they take in by the end of the sale, okay? So then the third option is the auction. If the auctioneer likes what he sees, he may take part or all of the items that you show him when he or she comes to your house and then offer them at an auction, possibly on its own or with other items, and they will charge a minimum of 10%, probably something closer to 25% nowadays, okay? So those are your options when you call a professional to get help with your vintage and antiques, okay? And like I said, I recommend getting more than one recommendation. Talking with more than one professional. Talk to 2 or 3 at least so that you have some options, all right? Okay, so the 4th option is to research your items on your own. This is going to take a little bit of time. You may already be aware of some of the values. Obviously, if it's your own collection, right, you know how much you paid for the items. You've probably read a thing or 2 about them or have a guidebook on them, right? So you have some general idea, but do some research. Go on eBay, look at the sold listings. Go to antique shops, see what the prices are. Go into Etsy, see what prices people are asking for things that are like yours, okay? Do a little bit of research and get some more information about the values of your items, okay? And I have a resource in my member library called 9 Free Ways to Price Your Antiques, okay? So in that 1-page flyer, I give you 9 different ways to learn some of the values of what you have. Okay, so this is, you're gathering information in order to make more informed decisions, okay? In the previous example, you didn't necessarily know a lot about what you were selling, and you were trusting an antique professional completely, right? In this option, you are arming yourself with some information and knowledge so that then you can call a professional and make more informed decisions. All right, so the fourth option is research your items and then call a professional, and you'll have that extra information so you know when they make a suggestion to you about how you sell your items, whether it's in your best interest financially to take that recommendation. Okay, so the final option. So we have, you can keep your items, you can donate them, you can call a professional, you can research your items and then call a professional. And the fifth is research your items and then sell them on your own. This is the most time intensive, the most labor intensive of the options, but often people want to get the most value out of whatever it is that they're selling, and this may be the way to do that. It is definitely not the easiest way to do it, or the simplest, or the quickest, but it may feel the most satisfying. Okay, so you take some time to research what it is that you want to sell, whether it's a collection or an inheritance or something you found on the side of the road. Whatever it is, do a little bit of research. I'm going to link to these resources, okay? And then once you are armed with all of that valuable information, you need to learn a little bit about the different platforms where you can try to then sell your items, okay? There is no quick and easy way to know which items are going to sell best where, okay? It's something that you learn as an antique seller over time. So if you've never sold before, you're going to need to be patient with yourself, and you're going to need to test and try things and maybe talk to some other people, to some friends, or maybe you know some antique dealers, and you can say, hey, should I sell XYZ at a garage sale, or should I sell it on Craigslist? Or should I sell ABC on eBay, or should I sell it at my own? You could hold your own living estate sale, right? So one thing I wanted to mention about researching your items is that there's a fallacy that every item has a very specific value. For those of you who've watched Antique Roadshow, even there you see the professionals give a range of value, right? Sometimes it's a huge range. And that's because it really depends on where you're selling your item, where you are in the country, and then which platform you're selling the item on. So if you have a piece of ironstone, it's going to sell probably for much less at a garage sale than it would on eBay. And it may sell for a lower price in Alaska than it would in New York, right? So you kind of have to factor a lot of that information into your decision making when you decide what to sell where and for how much. You also, I think, have to accept that you are likely not to wring every last penny of value out of each of the items that you sell. For really, really spectacular pieces that are rare and that people are very desirable, you may get very close to the highest retail price for that item, say if you decide to sell it on eBay, right? But other items that aren't that desirable, say a set of china, you may have paid $100 for a beautiful set of china, but today china, the values have really tanked, and you may find it difficult to get $10 for that that set. Hi, Debbie. Thanks for joining in. So those are the sorts of things that you need to keep in mind when you decide to research the values of the items on your own and then to sell them on various platforms. So you can sell them at a garage sale. You can have your own living estate sale. You can sell them on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. I'm going to link to an article that lists 24 different phone apps that you can sell your stuff on. I didn't realize there were that many, but there's lots. And there's Cherish. There, you can also sell on Instagram. If you have an Instagram account and you have a lot of followers, you can start posting things that you're interested in selling there. So there are a lot of places that you can sell, but again, it takes a lot of work and a lot of time to research each item and then sell them one by one, right? So that's why I put it as the last option, because it's the most labor intensive. So, hey, that's about all I have to say about how to sell your vintage and antiques if you're not a dealer. If you have a question on that topic and you're listening right now, you can go ahead and put that in the comments, okay? If you're listening to this later on, after I've finished, you can put your questions in the comments also, and I will answer them later on. All right. So I think I've covered everything that I wanted to on that topic. And again, I will be linking to this cheat sheet that has the 5 options on it in later on above the video. And I appreciate you guys joining in today. And unless someone has a question, I'm going to say goodbye. And as always, happy hunting.